congratulations on the film. I absolutely loved it. What was it like for you watching it for the first time in Sundance?
It was great. I was very proud of it. I hadn't seen it up until that point, so to sit down with an audience who responded that well to a film that you've been part of is really a kind of great moment.
You'd said that the working on the Sing Street set was one of the best sets you've ever worked on, in the sense of it was so enjoyable. What made it so enjoyable?
A lot of my friends were on that set, you know. A lot of the crew were people I'd worked with before and who'd been kind of there through different stages of my career to that point. And John produced my first film, and we were very good pals. And you know, I came on set every day, and most of my scenes were in that bedroom. And I would come on set every day with like Steely Dan blaring on my Bose speaker, and we just had the crack. It was just great crack.
And is that very much the Steely Dan because of the vibe of the film, or would you kind of use music to kind of get into a headspace for work?
I listened to Steely Dan every single day for a year and a half straight, before, during, and after that period. So that was what I was on at the time. I've moved slightly away from Steely Dan now, but I look back fondly on that period of my life of Steely Dan.
At least when you hear that track again, you'll be like, oh, that'll take you back to the set.
Any of those tracks, any track from any Steely Dan album.
Brendan in the film is the only voice of reason among all the adults, and he's a great dispenser of advice. What's the best advice you've ever had?
That's a really profound question. Okay, this is one I'm just plucking straight out of the air. My English teacher when I was in school said to me, say what you mean and mean what you say, which was fairly solid, yeah.
And when you read the script, what was your own take on Brendan?
I thought he was a very funny character. He was quite troubled, very hopeful, very dynamic, and somebody that everybody would want to have as their older brother, even though he's quite flawed. And it was just, yeah, a real, like, I mean, it's a kind of dream role for an actor in a way, to have a character like that, who the margins are so broad, you can do so much with him, you know.
And you seem to kind of weave effortlessly among different genres and different types of film. Is that a plan, or do you just kind of go on instinct by script?
I made quite a conscious decision to be diverse in my choices, because I think that keeps you kind of relevant in the industry and, you know, with the audience as well. So I don't really have much of an interest in doing the same thing twice. I don't want to be a samey kind of actor who is known for doing one thing really well. I would rather, you know, rather than be the person who it's like, oh yeah, he'd be good in that role, I'd rather be the person who it's like, oh yeah, well, why wouldn't he do that? You know what I mean?
And kind of post-Transformers, I think you said that you still have a certain degree of anonymity. Is that important to you, to kind of retain a little bit of that?
Well, what's been nice is that I haven't like blown up as a big franchise guy. It's more been a case that slowly over time people have seen my body of work that I've invested a lot of time and effort into, and people are kind of starting to see a broader picture of it and say, oh, well, you know, this guy's, he's good at what he does and he's a reputable actor. Look at the diversity and what he's done to this point. And I'd much rather be that than be somebody who blows up in a really big way for the public for a short space of time and then all of a sudden evaporates. So for me, it's a case of being in it for the long haul rather than, you know, in and out in a flash.
And speaking of franchises, there's obviously a very big one that you're on a certain short list for. Can you tell us anything further about that? Or?
Well, I think that the guys who are directing that film, Chris Miller and Phil Lord, are exceptional directors. They've taken properties like 21 Jump Street, which is obviously a series from the 80s that was pretty straight and conservative in its approach. And they turned that completely on its head and made it something that was, you know, just absolutely hilarious and wild. And they took the idea of a Lego movie and again, they did that same, you know, just completely changing it into something different and really interesting and something that an audience could really respond to. So I think that they're the perfect guys to make a film about Han Solo. If I have the opportunity to do that film, it'll be amazing. I would love it so much. Han Solo is one of my favorite characters. Of course, I've grown up watching all the Star Wars movies. I love Harrison Ford. I love Indiana Jones. You know, they're big boots to fill. But if I did have the opportunity, I would completely throw myself into it 100%.
Well, best of luck with it.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Cheers. Thank you.